we're podcasting. What's up, dude?
What's up, man?
Man, I can't complain, brother. I can't complain. Thanks for coming and talking with me today.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah, dude. Does
Happy
it
to be
feel
here.
impersonable because we have all these cameras and stuff in between us?
No, this is really professional, man.
I just set this
That's
up
kinda-
like just last minute. It's usually a little bit different, but yeah, it's like right in our face. Well, in my face at least. It's just me. You're like, I'm fine. I'm 10 feet away. All right, I'm
I feel
overthinking
pretty
it.
good.
I'm overthinking it already. Sick, dude. Yeah, man. Thanks for coming. I know you've been doing some great things lately, so it's awesome to be able to talk with you and just find out more about your motivation, kind of behind. If people don't know, Kevin is the owner of Bricky's Comedy Club. So just your motivation behind that, and then what kind of new endeavors that you have going on. If you can talk more about I know you're planning to add a second location. I would love to talk more about that and those plans. And then also I don't know if you want to share or not, but I know you got to recently go and do a talk at a school for some children.
Yeah.
And so you got to actually like be like a role model for kids. And I think you're a role model for a lot of comics, and as a businessman and a comic, you know, in that way, especially for the local scene, like seeing someone start a club from scratch and just what it's become in a very short amount of time, I think is amazing. But it was cool to me to see that you were out talking to the kids. It didn't seem like you loved the experience as much as it seems cool on social media, but like I would love to just talk more about kind of your experience with the youth, and then obviously your motivation behind Bricky's the World Record Fest. Let's touch on that, and let's just go from there.
Yeah, no, thanks, man. I mean, yeah, it's been a crazy like last few weeks. The World Record Fest was really rewarding, just how that all turned out. I really, going into it, was not sure whether it would end up being something that was successful and like productive for the scene, or if it would just be a total disaster. So it was like really a relief that it seemed like people got a lot out of it, and we were able to, eclipse the record. And so yeah, I was definitely really happy with that. I planned on taking a pretty significant hiatus after the record, to recharge, but because of all the momentum that we've had, I talked to the people at Star City, and I was like, well, let's just go ahead and get things rolling again as soon as we can.
Yeah.
And so we're bringing back the shows. So we're, filming this, what is it? March, what day is today?
March.
It's like March 8th or something,
it's the 9th.
The 9th. And then our first show back at Bricky's is going to be on the 15th. So we're really bringing stuff back and getting things rolling again. The school thing was, I think I can speak candidly. The reason why I took that was because I was kind of trying to get a date with the teacher that asked me to come speak at the school.
That's so funny.
So
I wasn't even asking about that.
Oh yeah.
No, but that's fucking great.
But I will say, I do not recommend middle school gigs. It's a nightmare.
Yeah.
It was
worse than a corporate gig.
Oh yeah. It was like nonstop heckling and just trying to do crowd work just to keep the kids from falling asleep. And it was not the most fun experience, but I got through it, and probably won't do it again.
I can't imagine, dude. Like I always admire that when people either go back and speak at their own school, or even just like, my kids don't listen to me and I'm their dad. Like I can't imagine a guy trying to explain 401ks in a t-shirt with a cartoon on it. Like,
yeah, exactly.
Like, what the fuck is this guy's deal? Like, who the fuck brought him here? Hey, Miss K, get me the fuck out of here.
I had to keep reminding myself, like, these kids, like, their brains are not fully formed, so they're shouting stuff out and they're kind of being, rude and whatnot. It's like, but it's just because they're kids. Like, they can't really control any of that.
Yeah.
So I just kind of tried to roll with it. And I spoke for 3 different class periods. And the first one, it was very business oriented. I kept it kind of formal. And that was super boring. It was not helping the situation. So the next 2 periods that I spoke at, I kept it a little more conversational and like kind of crowd work type of stuff.
Yeah.
And that was a little bit better. But yeah, it was definitely, it was taxing. I was exhausted by the end of it.
Yeah,
sure.
You pulled a Matt Rife on him.
Well, I'm not skilled like that guy is, but I did my best.
Any birthdays in the house tonight?
Yeah. It was hard doing crowd work for that demographic. I can't relate. I have no frame of reference for any of their pop culture stuff, you know?
Yeah.
So it was interesting. It was crazy.
It's hard dealing with the youth. And I think, just from there, you go from doing crowd 18 and up all the time to where you can say whatever you want and you have the freedom to go up whenever you want. And then you're kind of like forced into this very narrow box.
Yeah.
I mean, very narrow as far as creativity is concerned and explanation is concerned.
Yeah.
You're limited in the way that you can explain things and the type of metaphors that you can use. And you're always around comics who are talking shit, doing dick jokes. So like, what frame of reference do you really have going into that situation? So yeah, I totally empathize with you. I just thought it was a very funny anecdote.
Yeah, it was crazy.
Yeah, dude. So let's talk about, I mean, dude, first of all, Bricky's looks incredible. I want to ask before I get too far, is this is the look from now on? The stage is staying this way? I mean, you guys got the spotlights, you got the curtain in there. I noticed that there's even a TV and a timer. I mean, dude, this is like a Austin level club. Like really right now, like the way that they are set up down there where they have, and I think that's like Rogan's model where he has like, they have the actual shot clock up on the wall. That's the only other place I've seen that in the country. And so,
oh well, yeah. Thanks, man. Some of that stuff we did do specifically for the festival, and you know, it was pretty labor intensive to lay the groundwork for some of the additional features that were included.
Yeah.
We probably won't be utilizing that full array of different things, but we're trying to preserve the festival aesthetic and the resources that were available as much as possible. Some of it, we had a specific guy come in who was, really experienced in like TV production to set stuff up. So his services were really only available for that event.
Yeah.
So we're basically just trying to, and he's been really generous with disseminating knowledge to us and all that. So we're just trying to replicate as much as we can based on the knowledge from him, and really preserve as much of the aesthetic as we can. And when we do certain types of events, we'll bring the full array back for that. But with the open mic, it will look pretty similar, I think, to what we had for the festival, but probably not quite as flashy. The lighting might be a little more rudimentary, although some parts of the lighting system are permanent now.
Oh yeah, that's great. Like the spotlights, the new spotlights.
Those are sticking around.
So bright, dude. I mean, it just for having clips. The clips that I put out when I did the World Record Fest, they went really well because, and I was looking back on it, and other people said it too. Like the quality of the stage now, it makes you proud to do stand up there. Like, as a comic, dude, it makes me like, wow, this is cool that I have this like spot. Because like, not that we didn't love Bricky's before, or that we don't love or support you.
Sure.
But like overnight. I forget who I was talking to this about the other day, but I was like, just overnight, this place all of a sudden is like, holy shit, you walk in and you're in a real, like, there's a stage. You feel like it's a full thing. And so, I was just really appreciative to be around that for the World Record Fest and just everything you did for all of us, dude. It was awesome. And I was happy to be able to, I was right there when you were on stage as we broke the record. So it was cool being a part of all of it. I think what I was really wanted to ask before we started talking about it was, what were your motivations behind this? And then let's also, I don't know, I don't want to gossip too much, but let's talk about Nashville too.
Oh, okay.
But before we talk about Nashville, let's talk about your motivations for the World Fest, and sort of, did it exceed the expectations that you had? Because I know you were very apprehensive going into this. You made a lot of posts and said a lot of things about how you were very nervous, but you were going to put your reputation on the line. So, what were those motivations for you?
Yeah, thanks, man. I did want to say real quick about the aesthetic elements of stuff. I feel like all credit goes to Justin Cohen, the owner at Star City, and John Meese was the TV production guy who came in and like set a lot of that up. So those guys were just phenomenal with with creating that setting for the entire event, and also just for putting us on a new footing for coming back and like continuing, because the evolution of the stage, I think, is really, it's really come a long way from the beginning. I mean, the first show we just had a regular curtain backdrop. It was just very, like basic,
4 foot wide.
Yeah, well, there was that one too.
Out of it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. And then we had that one, and then more recently we had the updated vinyl backdrop, which was a little bit bigger. Which that was all John Morris helped us put that together, so that was much appreciated, and that was an important step in the evolutionary process. But yeah, in regards to the motivation for it, so the actual idea, the last like several months has been such a whirlwind. Like, I think it was like 4 or 5 months from when the idea was generated to the actual festival, which is atypical for one of these record attempts, because the other venues that have attempted, the other scenes that have attempted it previously, they typically would prepare for a full year in advance. And they had like whole teams full of people and all that. We had 3 to 4 months, and it was really like a skeleton crew of like, let's just condense the timeline. And it's almost like we did like what they did with like the COVID vaccine, where like usually it takes like 5 years to develop a vaccine, and we were like, we got like 2 months.
We gotta roll it out no matter what, dude.
Yeah,
like, people need this.
Yeah, so I was getting I was starting to feel bad about posting in the Dayton comedy page, because I didn't want to overstay my welcome there or like annoy people. But at the same time, I was like, I have this like information that I feel like needs to be disseminated to everybody on the festival. So that was one way to do it. And then we developed the email list, which was also like another way to like make sure everybody was fully informed on the guidelines and the parameters and expectations and all that. So going back to the idea, I don't think I was the person who came up with it. I was having a conversation with, although I don't really remember, to be honest with you. I was having a conversation with Austin Robertson and Becky Solin of Midwest Comedy Tour, who are good friends of mine, and we've done a lot of stuff together. And they were involved in Brickies at the outset and have remained involved in certain ways, and I've always been appreciative of that. But one of them had brought up something about, I think it was probably Austin, who said something in relation to, there's this world record thing out there, and what if you tried to break that at Brickies? Like, what if that was like something that you just an endeavor that you undertook? And so kind of started researching it, looking into it, was initially really apprehensive, but then ultimately just decided to go for it. And so that was kind of the origin of the idea. And then the spirit of it, and what I was using for motivation to remain, determined about the endeavor and not get discouraged, was I could kind of see what it could do for the Dayton comedy scene, like in terms of like generating some exposure.
Yeah.
And that for me has always been a big priority, because, as silly as it sounds, like the people that I really look up to in comedy, and I mean, these guys are all great. Obviously, these are folks we all look up to, like Carlin and, Pryor and Chappelle and Rogan, these guys. But the people who've always been like, the people that I look up to have been like the local people in Dayton, because I got, I did stand up for like 6 months in New Jersey and New York City before I moved back out to Ohio and got acquainted with the Dayton comedy scene. And that first night that I was at Wiley's for that Sunday Comics, I think it was like John Morris was hosting, Travis Charles was closing out. There were a bunch of guys like, on the line. You might have been on the lineup that night. I can't remember.
I think I might have been, because I remember meeting you very early on when you came.
Yeah.
Yeah, and people were. I think you were already running a mic like as soon as you got into town, though. Did Franklin Tavern start like very soon as you got on the scene?
I think it was like I'd been back in town for like 2 months, and then I started up Barrel of Laughs.
The Barrel, that's what it was. Mm-hmm. Yeah, people were saying that you were a guy to talk to because you book shows. I remember meeting you right away.
Yeah, and so for me, like coming into the Dayton scene, I mean, like I was really just blown away by guys like Ray Jackson and Dusty Harvey and Mike Wells and John Morris and Travis Charles and Karen Jaffe, like, and I'm leaving a lot of people out just because my memory's terrible, but Jesse Nutt, folks like that. And I always felt like, the scene here was really underappreciated because you watch those guys go on stage and they're as good as anyone. I mean, like they know what they're doing and they consistently like they deliver. And so I kind of just kept reminding myself, like, because there were times where, like, in the lead up to this world record thing, I was really exhausted. Like I was like really getting to a place where I really wanted to abandon it. And I knew that wasn't possible at that point. Like I knew we were past the point of no return, but I was really worried it was going to be a total disaster. Yeah. I genuinely was. And so I just kept reminding myself, like, this is something that if it has any degree of success, that could generate at least some exposure for some of our Dayton comics and could be good for the overall scene. So that was sort of once the idea was being implemented, that was the impetus for following through with it, was trying to accomplish that goal.
Yeah.
If that kind of makes sense.
No, it makes sense. It was challenging, dude. And I think everyone was just as surprised as you when you walked on the stage and said, "Hey, fuckers, we just did it." I mean, because like, everybody was so scared, that someone was going to like do the wrong type of comedy or walk off stage early, because there were certain parameters in place for what you had to be as a performer.
Yeah.
Regarding the amount of time and what you had to do while you're up there. So anyone could have just threw a wrench in that. And it was very nerve-wracking. I think I was there. I know it was like 72 hours. I think I was only there for like a total of 20 hours, but
that's still a lot, man.
The whole time I was there, dude, it was awesome though. I didn't want to leave, like the whole time I was there, I was just like, I don't know. We did, my first festival was earlier last year, and that was the Fuse Fest, and Luke blessed me on a couple, I got one gig on that. So it was cool hanging out with other comics. And then, through that, you typically will like book people on your podcast or like put them on your show, or they'll put you on your show as you meet these other comics and bookers. So networking wise, man, Bricky's World Record Fest was like incredible. Like it was just so cool networking wise alone. Like not even to mention, that we have this huge opportunity and that we're going for this awesome thing. I think there was a lot of other elements sort of as a result of the fest, and not anything that anybody could expect, but a lot of great things were coming out of it too. And I also wanted to say earlier, you said that you kind of hinted towards you thought you were being a little bit of an annoyance in the group post, but those posts you were making were also not only really motivational, but like some of the most reacted to posts I've ever seen in the Dayton Comics group post. Right? Like everybody was coming out dude, it was almost like you were a CIA agent and you activated all these old comedians and they were like, "Oh shit, that's my chance to," right? Because there were a lot of Dayton comics that, not that they don't get booked on stuff, it's because they're not out doing it and they have a life now. But that when I first started 5 or 6 years ago, I think a lot of these comics were like the features and the headliners in town locally. So it was cool seeing those people come back, and they still got it. And they were all, it was like old, young, new, in between. And I don't know, dude, it took a lot of people to pull it off. But yeah, dude, you activated a lot of people, bro. Like they were coming out of the woodwork, and it just makes the scene a better place, dude. There's like, I don't know. I say this all the time, but I'm super blessed not only to have killers that came before me, that I have to be funny to even be able to get on the stage in the city, because there's a lot of working comics that are pretty damn good in this region. Yeah. And like, you don't like, I heard Joe Rogan, I listened to him and Kevin James's podcast. I was listening to it earlier today, and they were talking about, guys from Tampa don't just come out and fucking, they're the next best comic in the world, because there's really not a scene in certain areas of the country. So if you come from like a good part of the Midwest or New York or even Austin, as of the last couple of years, you have so many people you're in competition with constantly, and they're your friends and you love them, and we're all getting different degrees of success, but it's like I don't know, there's just a certain type of energy that you get in you when you have good competition around you all the time. And so, it makes us all work harder, and it's fucking good for us, dude. Like, it's good seeing people kill, because then you're like, all right, I guess I need to work on whatever this is that I'm doing, right? I'm not going to just fucking phone it in. And those people, they get called out, and they eventually, they don't stay in the business very long.
Sure.
So
definitely, man. That was one of the things that was like neat about the festival was, I mean, I haven't broken down the percentages, but I would say we had at least like half, Dayton people on the thing. Maybe 60% was powered by the Dayton comedy scene. And, it was a real eye opener in terms of how many comedians we have now. And it's such a contrast to a few years ago when there was really only, I mean, I would say maybe like 25 of us that were doing it like consistently.
Yeah, but only half of those people were actually getting booked and that were like had a couple years in the game.
Yeah.
Out of those 25, there was half of those were 1 or 2 year guys like me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
Like, yeah.
And now we've got, I mean, I don't even know what the number is, but like, you know, Patrick Callahan, you know, shout out to him. You know, he puts on the mic over there at Shags.
Yep.
And that list runs, you know, 30 comics deep.
Yeah.
And
on a Monday.
On a Monday, yeah.
Welcome to Dayton, baby.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, just like, you know, when we're doing the Brickies Friday mic, which we're bringing back next week, like, you know, we have tons of people on those lineups, and those lineups end up being packed primarily with people from here in the local area. And the scene's growing all the time. I mean, I've had, you know, since the festival, in preparation to bring back the Friday mic, I've had tons of new people who've never tried stand-up before signing up for the upcoming Friday mics.
Oh, that's great.
And some of those people, you know, will end up, I mean, some of them will do it once or twice and maybe not do it again. I mean, that's the nature of how it works, and there's a turnover that's built in, but some of those people will end up becoming a consistent part of the scene as well.
Yeah.
And we're just going to keep growing. And so it's great that these other showcases and venues are popping up, and these are all things, it's a rising tide that's going to lift all boats, I think.
I think so too, dude. I mean, with Brickies, and then no one ever knows what's going on with Wiley's. We just always hope for the best, and we're all glad to be a part of it when we can. But with Brickies now, and then I was naming it earlier today. I don't know who I was talking to, but I was naming it. So we have Jarrell. Oh, I just talked to you about this too when you got here. But we have Jarrell Beeman's show, Comedy for the People, Jarrell and Deontay.
Yeah.
Then we have the Campfire Show with Jeff Allen and Mark Perkins. Then we have we have Don't Tell Dayton. So we have Chalk to Peace doing those weekly and bi-weekly, I think. And then there was one more, and then I have a new show. I'm going to plug it. It's the Super Secret Comedy Show. It's, the first one is 420. It's on 460 Patterson Road at the Delta Dispo. So
that's awesome.
Yeah, so we're going to be doing that. We're going to kind of model that like a Don't Tell, where we have like right now. I can't say the lineup, but we have such a fucking crazy lineup for the first one that I'm like, oh, it's like if we can get the core base of sort of what the Delta Dispo guys and like my core base, we come together and just get those fans locally to come into the show. It's going to be so good that they will want to come and continue. And I think by word of mouth, even though it's a secret, we're going to try to keep the lineups very consistent as far as that goes.
Yeah.
With them being only once a month, it's going to be easy because, you know, you have a decent budget, and then you can kind of space that out and just get good comics and put on a banger once a month. So that's kind of the goal with that, man. But yeah, there's just so much going on, man, in the scene, and it's fucking nuts.
Oh, definitely, man. And I was gonna say real quick about Wiley's. Like, we were talking about this a little bit ago. Like, I was really moved by, you know, Erica and like some of the people from Wiley showing up and being there the night that we broke the record. And to me,
that was so cool, dude.
Yeah,
Shout out to Erica.
Yeah, Erica's awesome. And like it kind of made me a little bit emotional, weirdly, because I always I never wanted Erica to think that I started Brickies to compete with Wiley's in any way. Cause I mean, Wiley's as well. It's where you and I started at.
Yeah, dude.
And they
Sunday
gave me
comics.
Yeah. And they gave me my first hosting weekend, and they let me do Sunday comics for a while there, like every Sunday for a long time. It felt like, you know, and that was where I was getting I wish I would have taken better advantage of it and appreciated it more when it was happening. But I always really, loved everybody at Wiley's and still do. And so one of the things that I kind of want to do, which I haven't done this enough just because I've been preoccupied with the Bricky stuff, but at some point I want to talk to Erica and the people at Wiley's and be like, what can I do at Bricky's to help, you know, Wiley's as well? You know, how can we work together? Because the way I view it, if Bricky's, you know, continues to grow and is a tremendous success, but Wiley's somehow you know, something happens with that, then to me, Bricky's would kind of be a failure, because the whole scene should be rising because of this thing.
Yes.
You know? And so I really want to talk to, Erica and people at Wiley's and and figure out how to help there as well. I mean, Funny Bone's great as well. The only reason why I don't really, incorporate them as much is because I imagine they probably have like plenty of resources to work with.
It's a corporate thing, and there's only a few select artists that they'll even work with around here. So it's like it doesn't even really come up in the conversation as far as booking an independent show. We all get lucky and get to work it. Not all of us, but I've gotten lucky. Janelle is great. I love the Funny Bone. I placed in their funniest person contest the year before last. And they treated me very well. And I've got the host there before, but it's just not something that comes up when you talk about the scene because, like I said, it's so corporate. Yeah, we're lucky to work there because it's such big names that usually travel through there in the first place. So it's like we have more of a shot where shout out to Erica, like you were saying, gave me my first hosting weekend, my first guest sets, all that stuff. So it's like we love Wiley's. I love Wiley's. Yeah. Like it's if not for Wiley's, I'm not who I am today. Nothing that I'm doing matters. So definitely love Wiley's, but Erica and Wiley's Comedy Club cannot facilitate the demand for stage time, especially now. With the market that we currently sit in. So without having Brickies and all these independent shows and these young guys who are hot and hungry, seeing that they can't work their favorite club every weekend, we got to create pub shows and backyard shows. And it's fucking, it's really crazy seeing it all just work itself out. It's like, it's stuff that you wish you could do it all, but you can't. So just to watch it form around you, you're like, oh wow, I'm really part of something special right now where people are probably going to look back and be like, that generation, that scene, there was something about those guys or those gals. And man, like super fucking blessed, dude. Dayton, Ohio rules. Never thought I would say that, but I do want to be in Austin someday, but I think I wanted to be there a couple years ago because of the boom, and I was just like, I could take my talents there, and I think things would go great. But I've stuck around here for a while now, and just we started to stay for a few more years, and I can't complain with how things are going, dude. Like I'm like it's all the stuff that I wanted down there is now happening here in this scene. And
that's awesome.
Like, and it's like I don't want to give that up. You know, it's hard, dude. Like I got my roots here now, for real. I got friends and family here, and I don't know, man. It's not. I know we're never going to be as big as those cities because we don't have the kind of population that can sustain those type of shows. But I think it's cool, man. What the stuff that we have going on now, super blessed. We got about a minute until break, and then we could do another 30.
Oh yeah,
I want to keep talking.
Sure, man.
We could just break now, honestly.
Yeah, sounds good.
Let's do it. All right, we'll be right back. I'm gonna leave the audio and just change the cameras.
Gotcha, man. I'm gonna run to the bathroom real quick.
Yeah, dude. Okay, cool. All right, we're back. And we're back. Make sure you guys follow this podcast. Follow Kevin Rupert. Kevin Rupert Comedy.
Kevin Rupert Comedy
Kevin
on
Rupert Comedy.
Instagram and Facebook.
Instagram and Facebook. Follow Bricky's Comedy Club. Make sure you go check out Bricky's Comedy Club. Kevin is the owner, CEO, founder of Bricky's Comedy Club, which a friend of mine also. And then so it's cool to know a comedy club owner, but I've known this guy for a long time, and I think that it's not only inspiring the stuff that you're doing, but I do I admire your passion for this art, and you're also one of those guys who I admire the way that you admire other people. Like I can be a bit of a snob, or I can maybe not give credit when it's due, but you're the opposite. Like you're always praising other people.
Oh, thanks, man.
And yeah, dude, seriously. So it's cool. It's cool, like seeing you tell the story about Brickies and stuff, because I can see how much you really care about the scene. And yeah, man, it's cool. Just getting to talk to you. So that's all this is, right? We're just bullshitting, talking, and so Brickies is a thing. Independent shows. I know we were just kind of touching on the local scene, but. Yeah, dude, what's been up with you? Do you have anything weird happen lately?
Oh man,
the second half hour is gonna get.
Wow, yeah, I mean, things have been pretty much the same. The festival, I mean, that took up most of my time for a long time. For the months that we were preparing for it. I was still going around doing shows. I work in IT during the day, so I still do that Monday through Friday. That's been most of it. tried to take a little bit of a break after the festival. But I mean, we've tried to get things rolling as quickly as possible, coming back from it. So I've kind of been getting back in the groove with that. Yeah, I mean, that's been pretty much it, man.
Let me ask you this about the festival.
Yeah.
If there's a competitor, if there's a challenger out there, Nashville, if there's a challenger out there, let's talk about Nashville for a second.
Sure.
But before we talk about Nashville and kind of the drama that's ensued, let's talk about, are you willing, Kevin Rupert, owner of Bricky's Comedy Club, to do this annually if you have to? Are you willing to do it again? Did it destroy you that much? And do you think you can streamline that 6 months process into a few months and figure it out?
I mean, I think we definitely could do it again. I think we could pull it off, and it would probably be beneficial in the sense that like we would have a lot more knowledge going into it, so it would be in certain ways a lot more streamlined. I am like not opposed to other venues, other scenes attempting it, and if they were to beat the new Guinness compliant record that we've established, I would support that. I mean, I would congratulate them, and I'd be like, maybe let's do it again, and maybe let's break the record that they've now set.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I'm not
become like this Evel Knievel of show bookers, where you sort of have to get more and more buses in between you and the landing.
Oh wow, dude. I think I definitely, if we were to do it again, I think I would approach it slightly differently. I mean, I made the mistake of emceeing the first 29 hours.
Yeah.
So my body really broke down. Like I'm still, and my brain too is still just now like starting to recover a little bit. I mean, one of the big problems that I had like during the course of the whole event is that my ankle swelled up and my feet wouldn't fit in my shoes anymore.
Dude, were you on stage barefoot?
Oh,
Were you in Crocs? What the fuck happened?
I was wearing sandals the whole time. But no, like
the Jesus of Dayton comedy over here.
Shit.
Bethlehem airs.
Well, I didn't realize that if you stand and walk around for an extended period of time like that it creates swelling in your ankles and feet. And so that became an issue at one point. I had to ask Dick Dickerson and Matthew Zane to kind of like take over for me and hold down the fort for a little bit, just because I had to go get off my feet for a few minutes, because I literally, like, my legs were not working anymore because they swelled up so much that I just couldn't maneuver. So there was stuff like that where I was like, if I could do this again, I probably would structure it so that I felt comfortable stepping away to like get sleep and take care of myself and all that. I am kind of surprised that like the number of energy drinks I drank, that probably was also a Guinness World Record. No exaggeration. Like I drank, dude, I don't even know. I mean, Red Bull alone, I probably had 30 over the course of the event.
Holy shit.
And I was drinking other energy drinks. Like, I had a friend who brought me a bag full of Monster energy drinks. And by the end of the festival, they were all gone. So, I mean, I was really, because at some point, well, that's the other thing that happens with sleep deprivation, is that your executive functioning kind of goes out the window. And so I would forget that I had just had an energy drink, and I would drink a totally like I'd drink a new one.
Holy
shit.
And
I remember, Vander had said something about, like he posted something on Facebook about how one of his favorite memories of the festival is that I guess him and I had like a deep, like 20-25 minute conversation. And then he walked out to use the bathroom, and then he came back, and I was like, "Oh, dude, Vander, what's up, man? long time no see." And I just talked to the guy for like 25 minutes, but like my brain was that fried that like, I was like, it was like I had dementia or something.
I remember, because there was a period of time where I was there for like 10 or 12 hours.
Yeah.
And I saw you multiple times, and every time you'd see me, you'd be like, "Hey man, how's it going?" And I was like, "Shit, I saw you like 15 minutes ago. I told you I was just hanging out upstairs."
Yeah.
And you were like, "Hey dude, thanks for coming." And I was like, "What the fuck? I've been here for 7 hours."
my sense of time was like way off.
Yeah.
Like, people would still be in the building, but they'd go off for a little bit. And I'd think that they were gone for a day or so.
Yeah.
I mean, it was really wild. And
some of them were though, because we would come in and do a spot on Wednesday or Thursday, and then we wouldn't come back to the weekend. So it was
Sure.
And I'm sure. Well, I've heard this a long time ago, so I know that scientifically speaking, your brain can only remember about 100 people.
yeah.
So there's like this some scientist or there's some law or fact about this somewhere. I'm butchering it, but I know that you can only remember about 100 people, and you had way more than that.
Sure.
Audience members, friends, family, on top of the 200 comedians that had to come in to make this possible. So it's like,
Sure.
dude, you were blanked out. You were just like a robot. Like,
Yeah.
what? You know what I mean? Like, you was like, hi,
Yeah.
hello, how are you? Hi, hello, how are you? We're having a comedy show.
Yeah.
We're having a comedy show.
It was wild, man. And I'm still processing like that full 4 days. There's a lot of stuff that like there's like pieces of it that are totally blank, you know? And that's also why I've been reviewing the footage,
Yeah,
you
you've
know,
been
the
watching all
live
of it?
stream footage, just to, cause you know, I'm going to send it to Guinness, you know, which, official certification, I feel like will be a nice icing on the cake, you know, to get that. I mean, the thing that sucks is that Guinness is the only record certification entity that is really out there.
Yeah.
If they weren't, I would definitely go to a competitor, because working with Guinness has been in every way, shape, and form just almost worse or more difficult than the logistics of the event itself.
Oh, wow.
They've
Tell me more about that.
Well, so they, for one, like in the lead up to it, as I was negotiating pricing with them, they just kept randomly jacking up the price. So they started out with like 18,000, and I would get emails from different people at Guinness, you know? So like I would reach out to them via the website and the contacts there. I'd be talking to one lady, and then I would get a completely separate email from another person with different criteria, different pricing structure, all this stuff. So
Was
I
it
was
going up the ladder, or was it just like random people getting the email and trying to respond to it, and there's no sort of check and balances over there?
Yeah, it's a pure disorganization, I think. And it takes them a really long time to reply too. Like I'll send them an email and they'll take 8 days to get back to me. And every time it's like, oh, sorry, you know, I was on leave, or like, you know, something happened. And which, you know, I get it. That's not a huge deal, but the pricing thing was getting really frustrating, because initially it was 18,000, and then someone else from Guinness, I was coordinating with them, and they said 16,000. So then the original person I'd been talking to talked to them again, and suddenly they were saying 20,000. So I was like, what's the actual like flat rate? Because I know we also have to pay for the adjudicators. So whatever the flat rate was, that was always going to be prior to paying for like people to come out and actually observe, which the route we ended up going was, I was like, we're not going to pay for adjudicators, because they wanted us to pay for lodging and travel for the number of adjudicators it would take to be there for the full duration. So that was going to inflate the cost to like 40,000. So I was like, what we'll do is, we had kind of a tentative arrangement planned where we were reserving a possible option to have an adjudicator come out for the final 8 hours. And so I was considering that up until the end, but we had to let him know with some time left. So it was going to be a really massive gamble, where it was like, okay, in order to have the adjudicator come out, we have to go ahead and pay the flat rate, and we have to pay whatever's necessary for the adjudicator. So we have to shell out 25,000. The adjudicator may show up, and then something goes wrong in the final 8 hours, and we just lost $25,000, you know? So it was just kind of this thing where I was like, well, I think we need to, knowing that to this point, at least based on all the information we've met the criteria. So we need to proceed, break the record, and then send the footage and get certification retroactively.
Yes.
So that ended up being the only real viable option.
And they negotiated that on their part, that was an okay thing to do, as long as you had the nonstop footage basically going through.
That was kind of the idea. And then also, you know, speaking of the Nashville people, like initially, the people I was talking to in Nashville who had spearheaded the previous records, they were being cooperative and supportive. And I think it was because honestly, and it's not even to disparage these guys, because I'm not even trying to like continue that, it's such a silly thing, but
no, we love like other comics from other scenes. It's just a goof to talk shit, but
yeah,
they definitely, I think, pulled back on you right at some point.
They did. Yeah, there was definitely, I think once, the person specifically who was kind of the architect of the Nashville attempts, like, I think once he realized that we had momentum and that we could really maybe break it, I think that's when he retracted his supportive attitude toward it, because then he just kind of decided like, I'm going to hang on to this thing, as long as I can. Yeah, it was disappointing. Cause I did rely, I thought that guy was acting in good faith. I gave him the benefit of the doubt, and I did rely on him for some guidance as we approached the record.
Yeah.
And so that's the only other thing that I've been going back through the emails and making sure, like, did he say something or provide some area of guidance that was a sabotage attempt, and is that going to be relevant as I submit things to Guinness? So I'm going back through to make sure that that's not an issue. But yeah, that aspect was disheartening, because I really did think that dude was a good guy. And I don't necessarily think that he's not now. It's just like the way that he has responded in the wake of us, getting the record and then getting, recognition for having done so. Like, it just has sucked that it went that direction, because I made every effort to extend an olive branch and incorporate him into our attempt. And he just kind of went the more prideful, toxic avenue.
Yeah.
And kind of sucks.
That's good to know the actual story, because until just now, I thought that, I had talked to you already, and then I also had looked it up myself, but there was rumors online that there was an even longer record, 100 plus more hours than what we had already done.
Right.
And there was a documentary made about it. So I watched the whole documentary, and I studied what was happening and tried to figure it out. And I know I'd even contacted you, because I have a connect in Nashville too, which he's a friend of mine. And I think he might have got maybe a little bit mad at me because of the whole situation. But he works in the industry, but not the comedy industry.
Sure.
But he used to be a comedian. I think he was a manager at a major club down south for like 8 years. And so he's got a strong connection to the Nashville scene. And so I think that maybe he was a little bit upset about it too, and they were sort of using this documentary as proof that they had got like 185 hours. But I'm not sure if it was something with Guinness, like you're saying, how hard it is to work with them,
right?
That maybe they couldn't get the adjudicators, or maybe the 185 hours of footage. But that's not official. Officially, they have 80 hours plus for a multiple person stand-up show. I know there's another guy. Do you know his name? He's just a one-man show.
The guy who did like 40 some hours,
48 hours, or something like that.
Yeah,
one-man show. I forget that guy's name, but that kept coming up when I would look up the record. Officially. So I know officially we are in the running for it. It's not quite like you said. The icing is not on top of the cake yet, but I was just so happy to be a part of it, and to see all my fellow comics that came before me and all this younger generation that's really working hard come together and do their best to just attempt it, man. It's fucking cool, and it made me want to do that every year, and or just hoping that there's more independent shows at Bricky's, like in the way that Wiley's is doing comedy for the people, and in the way that these other breweries are picking up local shows. I'm hoping that there's more opportunities for people. Like the Friday Night Mic is awesome, because you're like literally giving people a platform and the ability to just start this from scratch, and there's just, there's a lot going on at Bricky's, man. And I don't think you've got enough credit because it's so new, but I do believe this is sort of the beginnings of something very big for you and for a lot of people in this city. And
thanks, man.
Yeah, man. I think down the road, people are definitely gonna think about Bricky's when they go out to do a stand-up comedy night. I mean, Funny Bone is the top of the list, top of the food chain. Obviously, it's in the mall. And then you have Wiley's, the classic place that brings, the best from the Midwest. And some people from all over the country do come here.
Yeah.
And then you have, obviously, you have Bricky's now. But you also are going to be expanding Bricky's. Let's talk about that. I know we got like 10 or 15 minutes left. Gotcha. Let's talk a little bit about the new location. Sort of, I don't know how much you want to share about the actual logistics of when things will happen, but it'd be great to know a little bit more as a comic. And I'm sure if anyone's listening, they'd like to know more about what the future of Bricky's holds and sort of what that second location is going to kind of do for the comedy scene.
Oh, thanks, man. Yeah, because of the ongoing like contract negotiations, I think like I'm supposed to like keep it like pretty vague with like what's going on with the expansion, but
understandable.
But basically what we're doing is we are in the process of which the phase that we were in at the conclusion of the World Record Festival was the like letter of intent phase. So in terms of the official contract, that's something that's still kind of in the works, and there's a lot of analysis on the part of the organization we're partnering with in terms of what the construction costs might be. And that will factor in because there's a certain amount that they're willing to cover before Bricky's has to come in. And it's a substantial amount. I mean, it's in the hundreds of thousands of dollars they're willing to cover to turn this into, an Bricky's expansion location. But whatever discrepancy ends up existing beyond that ceiling, Bricky's will have to cover. And so that is factoring into the negotiations. And I'm trying to be careful to make sure that I don't agree to anything that's like inadvertently detrimental to the business or exposes it to a lot of risk. So but the plan is, if this expansion, does fully materialize, we do a full contract, is we're going to have a sizable Bricky's location in downtown Cincinnati. And really the idea behind that will be, I think, to in a way like build a bit of a bridge between the Dayton and Cincinnati scene so that hopefully, the like Cincinnati folks, will come up and do stuff on our shows. We'll be going down and doing stuff on their shows, and Bricky's can hopefully be an impetus for that. Because I think that cross-pollination is going to benefit both scenes, and will grow the Dayton scene substantially,
Absolutely.
So that's part of, I think, the broader vision there. But at the same time, I will say that, at the conclusion of the festival, I did realize that where my heart is with the Dayton scene, for sure. I mean, I can't deny that. There's a lot of great comics down in Cincinnati, and I'm looking forward to hopefully working with more of them and all that. But I also am going to make sure that in pivoting some focus for this, potential expansion, if at any point I think it's going to interfere with the focus that I need to contribute to the Dayton scene in the way that I want to, it could put that whole thing on hold possibly. And that's something I've been reassessing because I know that Cincinnati is going to end up being a big undertaking for sure. I mean, like crazy. And it's going to require a lot of focus. And if Bricky's Miamisburg and what we're trying to do and help in the Dayton scene, if that's not to where I want it to be yet, then that's going to be a factor as well. So things are like kind of in flux right now, but I'm trying to like keep my priorities in the right place. What was what remains tempting about the Cincinnati prospects is the money involved, which I've kind of talked, to you about privately, not for me personally, but just the money, in the sense that it would provide a lot of resources, to invest into the Dayton scene and also to build that bridge between Dayton and Cincinnati, where, hopefully there's no there's obviously there's going to be a little bit of a rivalry between different scenes, but I don't have anything against the people in Cincy. So,
I think Cincy's great. It's a great comedy town, good market to be in. And I believe personally, if your real estate that you're looking to develop is downtown, I think that Montgomery is far enough away, which is Go Bananas, and they're an independently run club. I don't think they're really worried about a corporate place. I think with this location, it sounds more along the line. I know you can't divulge too much, but just from listening to you, it sounds more of like a funny bone kind of a situation where you'll be a very upscale joint. So I don't think that's going to infringe on them. And then you do have a Funny Bone, but you're more than 20 miles from a Funny Bone. That's all the way down in Liberty.
Yeah.
So I don't think that you're going to encroach on business. And dude, it's 3 times bigger than Dayton. There's way more people to buy tickets, to put butts in seats. It's going to be a great run for you, man. I'm really happy that that's going to take place. And I think, dude, if anybody deserves it, you deserve it. Look what you've done with the small amount of time that you've had into Brickies. I can't wait to see what this other venture will look like. So
thanks, man.
Yeah, man, definitely good luck on that. And thanks for coming to talking with me today. I know you have Rise Hendrix coming to Brickies soon.
Yeah.
If you want to plug that, so people go check that out. Go to brickiescomedy.com for that. But if you want to give them a little more details and then we'll kind of we'll close it off.
Thanks, man. March 15th, we're bringing back the Friday night mic. We'll be doing it every Friday for at least the next couple of months. So that's going to be awesome. And then we're starting our roast battle series, which Johnny, I think you're on
April 10th. I'm
April
on that.
10th.
Yes. Yeah. Hey, yeah. I wanted to talk about that. We'll talk off camera, but I got some questions for you.
Awesome, man. Okay. Awesome. And then John Morris headlining April 6th. And then we've got Rise Hendrix on April 24th, which is kind of crazy because he's like huge on TikTok. He's got 10 million followers or something like that. And those tickets are already almost sold out. So
you might have to add a second show.
We might have to do that.
Has that ever happened?
I don't think we booked 2 shows. I don't think we haven't added a second show.
Yeah. For the same night.
Exactly.
That's a lot of work. So
yeah.
But hey, look, dude, good luck. Anyway, I think it's awesome. Can't wait to see Rise Hendrix. He's going to sell the freaking place out. Maybe I'm a comic, so I can come watch in the back, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm going. So see you guys there. Thanks for watching the show, everybody. Peace out.